I was dead, and in that moment I saw everything. Michael never believed in near-death experiences until he had one himself. After a fatal car crash, he left his body and was pulled into a realm beyond this world. There he encountered Jesus Christ himself, who revealed shocking truths about the world, Donald Trump, and the hidden forces controlling humanity. What Michael saw will change everything you thought you knew. Jesus exposed the illusion of money, the coming global deception, and the battle happening right now between light and darkness. But most terrifying of all, a prophecy that is already unfolding before our eyes. Time is running out. Most people have no idea what's coming. You need to hear this testimony before it's too late. Stay until the end, because this could be the most important message you ever hear. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future revelations. And tell me in the comments, do you believe the world is being deceived? Let's dive in. Michael never imagined that an ordinary day would end like this. The impact came before he could react. The deafening sound of metal twisting, glass shattering, and then silence. When he opened his eyes, something was off. He saw his own body, motionless among the wreckage. A strange coldness crept over him. It wasn't just shock, it was something deeper. He felt a pull, as if he were being sucked away. The world around him faded. Suddenly, Michael realized he was floating in an endless void. No sound, no time, just a living, pulsing darkness. Fear began to rise within him. Is this it? Am I dead? His thoughts echoed in the nothingness. But then, on the horizon of this emptiness, a glow appeared. Small at first, then growing in intensity until it became a living sun, radiating something he couldn't describe, not just light, but life itself. Without resistance, Michael was drawn toward this presence. Every fiber of his being felt pulled, not by force, but by love. As he moved closer, he realized he wasn't alone. Someone was waiting for him beyond the light. His heart pounded in a way he had never felt before. He was about to discover a truth that would change everything. As Michael drifted toward the radiant light, a warmth unlike anything he had ever known washed over him. It wasn't just heat, it was a presence, an overwhelming sense of peace and love that reached deep into his soul. The void he had been trapped in was gone, replaced by an endless expanse of golden light that seemed to breathe and move like a living entity. Then, out of the brilliance, figures emerged. At first they were just silhouettes, but as they stepped closer, Michael saw them clearly. Beings of light, radiant and powerful, yet filled with an indescribable gentleness. Their presence carried no fear, only an unshakable sense of belonging. Though they spoke no words, he could feel their thoughts entering his mind, a silent communication that was both clear and deeply personal. You are not alone. You are never alone. Michael felt something inside him break, like a weight he had carried his entire life was suddenly lifted. Tears streamed down his face, though he had no physical body anymore. He was home, in a place more real than the world he had left behind, and yet, he knew this was just the beginning. One of the beings gestured forward, and without speaking, Michael understood. He was being invited to go deeper. Beyond them, the golden light parted, revealing something even more astonishing, a realm unlike anything on Earth. Majestic landscapes stretched endlessly, flowing with colors he had never seen before, rolling fields of light, rivers that shimmered like liquid diamonds, and a sky so vast it seemed to embrace everything within it. The very air hummed with music, a soundless melody that resonated through him, filling every part of his existence. Michael knew, deep in his soul, that he had crossed into something greater than life itself. But he also sensed that he had not yet seen everything. Someone else was waiting for him, someone he could feel calling him from beyond the horizon of this radiant world. As Michael stood in awe of the celestial realm before him, a sudden stillness filled the air. The luminous beings who had welcomed him stepped aside, as if making way for someone greater. A presence unlike anything he had ever encountered began to manifest. At first, it was just a shift in the light, an energy so immense that it made the entire realm tremble with reverence. Then, from within the radiance, he appeared. It wasn't a man standing before him, not in the way Michael had imagined. This was not the Jesus from paintings or Sunday school stories. He was light itself, a living, radiant force that carried the weight of eternity. Waves of love, unlike anything on earth, poured from his presence, enveloping Michael in a warmth so pure it made every pain, every sorrow he had ever felt, vanish in an instant. Though Jesus did not speak with words, Michael could hear him, inside him. The communication was deeper than language, an unshakable knowing that filled every part of his soul. Jesus was not just looking at him, he was looking through him, seeing every moment of his life, every thought he had ever had, every secret he had ever buried. And yet, there was no condemnation, only love. Then, a single thought from Jesus echoed through Michael's entire being. There is something you must see. In an instant, the light around them shifted, and Michael was no longer standing in paradise. He was floating above the earth, looking down upon a world unaware of what was truly happening behind the veil of reality. It was as if Jesus was about to reveal the hidden truth behind everything: history, power, and the forces shaping humanity's destiny. Michael knew this was no ordinary vision. This was a revelation, one that would change everything he thought he knew about the world. Michael hovered above the earth, gazing down at the world he once knew. Cities stretched endlessly, filled with people going about their lives, completely unaware of the invisible battle raging around them. Then, the light shifted again, and suddenly, he could see it. Dark shadows moved among the people, whispering in their ears, planting thoughts of fear, greed, and division. These weren't just fleeting emotions, they were entities, unseen forces manipulating humanity from behind the scenes. Michael watched in shock as nations rose and fell, wars ignited, economies collapsed, all orchestrated by something beyond the physical realm. The world is not what it seems. Jesus' voice resonated within him. Michael turned and saw the forces of light standing against the darkness, battling not with weapons, but with something far greater: truth. Every time light was spoken, the darkness recoiled. Every act of love and faith shattered the illusion the enemy had created. But few could see this battle, and even fewer understood its consequences. They have made you believe that power belongs to men, to governments, to wealth. But it does not, Jesus continued. The real war is not of flesh and blood, it is for the souls of mankind. Michael felt a deep sorrow as he witnessed how many were deceived, chasing after power, money, and influence, unaware that they were simply pawns in a much greater game. But there were also those who resisted, those who saw the truth. A time is coming when this battle will no longer be hidden, Jesus warned, and when it does, the world will be forced to choose. Michael's spirit trembled. He could feel what was coming, something so massive that it would shake the very foundation of civilization. And at the center of it all, there was one figure whose role had been misunderstood by nearly everyone. Jesus was about to reveal something that would change Michael's perspective forever. As Michael stood in the presence of Jesus, he felt the weight of divine truth pressing upon him. The vision shifted once more, and now he was looking down upon the world's political stage. He saw leaders, movements, and ideologies clashing like waves in a violent storm. But at the center of this chaos, one figure stood out: Donald Trump. Michael was taken aback. Of all the people he expected to see in a divine revelation, Trump was not one of them. Yet as he gazed upon the former president, a strange reality unfolded before him. Trump was not just a political leader, he was a symbol, a catalyst in a much greater battle. People either worshipped him or despised him, but few truly understood his spiritual significance. He has been placed here for a reason, Jesus spoke, his voice filled with both authority and mystery. He is neither savior nor destroyer, but he plays a role in what is to come. Michael watched as unseen forces swirled around Trump. Some sought to guide him, while others worked tirelessly to destroy him. He saw how powerful institutions and hidden hands fought to silence him, not because of who he was, but because of what he represented, a disruption in the carefully controlled illusion that had governed the world for so long. Whether they love him or hate him, they do not see the full picture, Jesus continued. He is a dividing line, a test for many. Through him, hearts are revealed. Michael suddenly understood. It was not about Trump as a man, it was about what his presence exposed. He forced people to choose, to confront their own beliefs, to question the narratives they had been given. He was a vessel for something much larger than politics. But then Jesus showed him something even more unsettling, a future where this battle would intensify. What was happening now was only the beginning. The fight over Trump was not really about Trump. It was about power, truth, and deception at the highest levels of existence. Michael's soul trembled. He could feel it. The storm was coming, and most people had no idea what was truly at stake. Michael barely had time to process the revelation about Trump before the vision shifted again. Now, he was looking down at something vast and all-encompassing, the global financial system. At first, it seemed solid. An unshakable structure of banks, corporations, and endless streams of money. But as Jesus raised his hand, the illusion began to crack. Michael saw the true nature of wealth on earth. The US dollar, the foundation of global power, was not real. It was a tool, a system designed to control and enslave. Nations did not truly rule themselves. They were ruled by debt, fear, and deception. The people at the top were not the ones seen on television, but those in the shadows, the ones who controlled the flow of money. They have made you believe that wealth brings security, Jesus said, his voice heavy with sorrow. But it is a lie. The world is bound by a currency that does not exist, built on promises that will be broken. Michael then saw something chilling, the collapse. The system was doomed, and those who trusted in it would be left with nothing. He saw markets crashing, banks failing, and people scrambling for answers. But it was not an accident. It was planned. The collapse was part of a greater deception, one that would usher in something even more dangerous. They will offer a new solution, Jesus warned, a new system promising peace and security. But it is a snare. Those who place their faith in it will lose more than their money. They will lose their freedom. Michael saw people accepting the change without question. Out of fear, they surrendered control over their own lives, believing the lie that it would keep them safe. But he also saw those who resisted, the ones who understood that real security did not come from wealth, but from faith. Tell them, Jesus commanded. Warn them. The time is short, and the world is not ready for what is coming. Michael's spirit trembled. Everything he had once believed about money, power, and security had been shattered. He had seen the truth, and now he knew. The greatest deception in history was about to unfold. Michael's vision darkened. The golden light that had surrounded him faded, replaced by something heavier, the weight of the future. He was no longer looking at the present world, but at a time yet to come. He saw nations trembling, economies collapsing, natural disasters striking with terrifying force. People cried out for help, but their leaders had no answers. The old systems were crumbling, and in the midst of the chaos, a new order emerged. At first, it looked like salvation, A new global system promising peace, stability, and security. Leaders spoke of unity, of solving humanity's greatest problems. The world, desperate and afraid, embraced it without question. They will believe it is the answer, Jesus warned, but it is the trap. Michael saw laws being passed, restrictions on freedom, control over resources, the elimination of those who resisted. People were told it was for their own good, that they had to comply for the sake of peace. And yet, Michael could see the darkness behind it all. Then he saw something even more chilling, the deception that would capture even those who once had faith. Many who had once believed in God were led astray, lured by comfort and false promises. Churches that had once preached truth now preached compliance. Those who refused to follow were cast out, ridiculed, and eventually hunted. Only those who see through the illusion will endure, Jesus said. Only those who prepare their hearts will stand firm. Michael's soul ached. The world was heading toward a moment of decision, and most people had no idea what was coming. They would trust the system, accept the new rules, believing they were choosing safety, but they would be choosing chains. Jesus turned to him, his eyes filled with urgency. There is little time left. You must warn them. Those who listen will be ready. Those who ignore will fall. Michael's spirit burned with purpose. He had seen the future. He knew what was coming, and he knew there was still hope, but only for those who chose the truth. Michael stood before Jesus, his soul trembling. He had seen the hidden battle, the deception of power, the collapse of the world's systems, and the rise of something far more dangerous. Now the final message was clear. This was a test, the greatest test humanity would ever face. Faith will be the only refuge, Jesus said, his voice filled with both warning and hope. Those who trust in the world will be lost. Those who trust in me will endure. Michael saw people faced with choices. Some clung to their wealth, believing they could buy their way out of the coming storm. Others placed their faith in governments, hoping that new laws and leaders would save them. But neither could stand against what was coming. Only those who had prepared their hearts, who had strengthened their faith, were able to withstand the trials ahead. Tell them, Jesus commanded, they must awaken. They must prepare, not with fear, but with wisdom. The time of deception is here, and soon all will be tested. Michael felt a burning urgency inside him. He had been given this vision for a reason. The world needed to hear the truth. People needed to understand that this wasn't just about politics, money, or survival. It was about their souls. As the vision faded, Michael found himself being pulled back, his spirit rushing toward his body. The warmth of the divine presence began to fade, but the words of Jesus remained, echoing deep within him. Then he woke up. Gasping for air, his heart pounding, Michael knew one thing for certain. He had been sent back with a mission. He had seen the truth. He had been warned, and now he had to share this message before it was too late. Michael's testimony is more than just a near-death experience. It's a warning. A spiritual battle is raging, and most people don't even realize it. The world is changing, deception is rising, and soon everyone will have to choose where they stand. Jesus made it clear. Those who put their trust in money, power, or governments will be lost, but those who strengthen their faith will endure. Are you ready for what's coming? Let me know in the comments. Do you believe we're living in the end times? Have you ever had a supernatural experience? Share your thoughts below. And don't forget, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss these powerful revelations. Watch the next video on your screen for more shocking testimonies.